Consistency is key. Now, you've probably heard this before. Shit, I've probably said it before. But is it actually true? And there are some pretty obvious examples of times when consistency is absolutely not key. We all know the story of that guy who goes to the gym consistently, religiously, and yet looks the same year after year. Less commonly, you have stories of guys who are not particularly consistent. They take days off, they take weeks off, shit, they even sometimes take months off, and yet they still look very, very impressive. So, is consistency really key? And I've gotten many a DM from people who say stuff like, man, I've been going to the gym for 3 whole months, and I don't look the way I want to look. What is going on? Well, first of all, 3 months is not a very long time, but second of all, and I think this is the big point, just showing up is actually not that much. And if you're consistent, but you're stagnant, you should not expect anything. If you're not getting better over time, you're not going to look better over time. Furthermore, it's not enough to just get better over time. You need to get better at getting better. So you need to actually get better at the process of training, not just showing up. So why do people say that consistency is key when it's certainly not enough? I think this boils down to how a lot of advice is for beginners. So if you're a beginner, I think that consistency is key. Adherence is massively important, and it's probably the single biggest factor. For a beginner, consistency is key. Showing up is absolutely important, and because you're so sensitive to the training, because it's so new, because it's so novel, yes, just showing up probably is enough. But guess what, baby? After that, after your newbie gains, just showing up is not enough. And this is where you kind of get the rug pulled out from under you because you were getting these effortless gains. You didn't really need to think. You just need to put in a bit of effort, eat enough food, etc. And then that kind of just stops. Like it's just done. And you got to actually get better at getting better. And this wouldn't work in any other area of life, right? I mean, at your job, if you're like, man, I didn't get a promotion and I showed up. I showed up all the time. Well, did you do a good job? Not really, but damn it, I showed up. You know, what about parenting? I've heard that, 90% of being a good dad is just showing up.
90% of being a dad, just showing up.
Really? Like, those are your standards? Like, God damn it, I showed up. Well, did you do anything with your kid? Did you teach them anything? You know, were you supportive of them? Did you love them? Well, no, I was kind of just there on my phone as they, I don't know, did some shit on their phone, like, but I showed up. Really? And maybe this is to convince people that being a parent is not too tough and you just have to show up. Well, it is tough. It is hard. And same thing with training. It is tough. It is hard. Getting more than your beginner results is going to take some thought. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take more than just consistency. I mean, that's a prerequisite. That is just the bare minimum of what you need to be doing. I mean, true, if you don't show up, you can't really get better or get better at getting better, but we should aim higher, in my opinion. So one super important thing is tracking your training, and Boostcamp is a super easy and effective and efficient and amazing way to do that. I've been using it for a while now, and it's a very intuitive system. It's very, very easy to use, very simple. They have all the exercises that you ever want to use, and if they don't have it, you can create your own. Also, they give you access to some of the best programs out there on the internet. I myself have 3 programs up there: Ravage, Rampage, and the Recovering Powerlifter program. Plus, there are dozens of others from some of the best content creators out there on the internet. And the vast majority of them are absolutely free. Using it is free. They do have a paid membership, etc. But a lot of the features are free, and it is absolutely going to be useful in your journey. So once again, thank you to Boostcamp for sponsoring this video. And so what is the consistency of your consistency?
What? English!
In other words, what does your consistency consist of? What are you actually doing when you show up? And anyone I've met who has a great physique, or who got really strong, or who got really fast, you know, they were an elite sprinter, anyone who went to the top of the fucking pile was observant. They were obsessed with that process. They were obsessed with not just doing good, but doing it better than before. Doing well. That's the word I was looking for. See, I'm trying to get better over time. That's the point I was intentionally making when I used bad grammar, poor grammar. Cut this whole section. So yeah, realize that once you are past that 6 month to a year newbie gain phase, things change. Things are different. And the things that we tell beginners to get them hooked into this Ponzi scheme, this pyramid plan of training, is not really going to apply to you. I mean, consistency is kind of implied. Just when you're not a beginner anymore, yes, you're going to be showing up. Yes, you're going to be working hard. So when I hear people scream, more consistent than last time, or whatever those sayings people say, yeah, that's kind of implied. Like, it's implied that you train hard because you're past that beginner stage and you're going to have to do it. It's implied that you're showing up because why the fuck are we going to talk about anything else if you're not showing up? Adherence is super, super important, but how interesting is it really? And so my advice is nothing is owed to you. A great physique or an impressive looking set of whatever, guns or abs or anything, you don't get that by default, right? Just showing up is not enough. That's kind of just the very, very bare minimum. Putting on your shoes, getting your foot in the door. Okay, great. Now let's get to work. Now let's perfect that process. And that should be your goal rather than just showing up. And the higher your goals are, the more that just showing up and working hard are going to be just a bare minimum expectation. So here are some practical takeaways just to make this less abstract. First, training log. Super fucking important. You can use Boostcamp, which I probably talked about before. I haven't actually filmed that part yet. I usually film it last. Very, very important. And don't just write shit in there and then never look at it again. No, like, when were you your strongest? When did you seem to be progressing the best? Sometimes a food log can also be useful. Okay, what was I eating? You know, did I cut out a certain food and my weight dropped or my weight increased? These are very difficult to track, but you have to at least make the attempt. You can't just say, oh, well, there's so many variables, I'll never be able to see what's working without a meta-analysis. No, like, those are useful in their own way, but you also have to be observant in the gym, outside of the gym, because really that is more useful in a lot of ways than looking at what other people are doing. Like, you have to actually make that attempt, even if it is difficult. And because it is difficult, that's why so many people fail. And so when you do achieve it, it's that much sweeter because fuck them, right? Actually, spike gains are the best gains. It's not like the, oh, look what I did. It's the, look what I did and you couldn't do it. So training log, food log, and then just finding that balance between being a program hopper and endlessly doing the exact same thing and never experimenting at all. And that is a little bit of a fine line. Don't go too far in either direction. Don't be the guy who's always doing a new plan every 2 or 3 weeks. You need to allow that experiment a chance to actually finish so you can observe if it went well or didn't go well. On the other hand, if you're not experimenting in your training at all, you're always just doing 3 sets of 10 with the same weight, you have to be doing something a little bit different. And when things stall out, when you stop being able to progressively overload, I think that's when you can either change your plan or pivot and kind of assess how that went. I would say 8 to 16 weeks, so 2 to 4 months is a pretty good ballpark, but some people do better on 5 months, 6 months, or even longer. And, maybe some people are more like a 6-week in and out, hit it, assess, change type of person. I think novelty can be very powerful, but some people do absolutely overuse it. Anyway, for more about perfecting the training process, you can check out my books. They will help you a lot in your training journey. I've priced them extremely reasonably because I find people who charge hundreds of dollars for digital products to be kind of fucking despicable, but I have to make a living somehow, so I do appreciate everyone who has picked those up. They do help support the channel and keep things going. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be out more consistently. Peace!